Okay, I'm Graham Martin. I'm Professor of Avian Sensory Science at the University of Birmingham, which means I've spent nearly all my career investigating what birds see, hear and smell, just getting into the sensory world of birds, but particularly vision.
Okay, Graham, and I was just wanting to talk to you today about the problem we have with birds and power lines. Would you be able to summarise the problem as it stands today?
Well, it's quite an extensive problem. And power lines are absolutely everywhere all over the world, and so are birds. And birds are flying into power lines and killing themselves and also disrupting power distribution. And it's many millions of collisions every year take place across the world wherever there are power lines. And very wide range of bird species are involved as well.
Is there any particular species that are more vulnerable than others?
Well, some of the ones that are most vulnerable would be some of the bigger birds of prey. Vultures and that sort of thing. Bustards are also one of the ones, but particularly wildfowl, ducks, geese, swans, those sorts of birds as well. They run into a lot of problems with power lines.
And what is it that makes them more vulnerable, particularly?
Well, it's partly because their vision isn't as good as some of the other birds. You know, their acuity, their ability to see detail is considerably lower than some other birds, but also that they do have a propensity to fly, particularly at dusk and dawn when light levels are low and visual abilities are even lower, and maybe it would be misty and things like that.
Now we're talking to you today about this because we've recently developed and implemented a new product which is designed to help mitigate this issue. If you're able to maybe highlight some of the features or the elements of a product known as a warning marker, which you consider essential or most helpful in alleviating this problem.
Well, the important thing is that it's got to be really conspicuous to a bird. It's not just a matter of being conspicuous to a human. So you have to take into account what the bird can see rather than what we can see. And so one of the things, especially if we are thinking about those birds which are most vulnerable, the geese and swans and that sort of thing, is it's got to be actually physically quite large to be conspicuous. It's also got to be highly contrasting, black and white. It also should incorporate some sort of movement element as well to be conspicuous. I think those are the main elements that are in there, and they're all in that product. The important thing about being black and white contrasting is that it's going to be conspicuous under the greatest range of naturally occurring light levels. You could have something that's coloured which would stand out very well during the day under bright sunlight, but once you get down into twilight light levels when birds are still moving around and they're vulnerable, it's the black and white, the colour starts to disappear and is no longer really a salient cue.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time today. We do appreciate it.